Give me a little intro there, Gomer.
There's no turning back now.
Let's put on the show.
You're listening to episode number 81 of the Station 71 podcast. My name is Mario, and this week I'm joined by my co-hosts,
Beth
and Kirsten.
So before we start diving into all of this stuff, I want to do a little bit of housekeeping. We don't usually do stuff like this, but I was going through some of our social networks and stuff and checking some of the podcast stats, and I noticed that we got a very recent bump in listeners. So I wanted to put this out there for anybody that hasn't listened to the show for a while. One, thank you for listening. It's awesome to have you on board with the Station 71 crew. But on side of that, we also try to do a lot of outreach with our listeners. So I wanted to, before we start all this, plug our best ways to get in touch with us, so to say. You can reach us with any show suggestions or anything along those lines at station71podcast@gmail.com. Or you can send us a call, or you can call this number and get a hold of our voicemail, which we will play back on the show. We haven't really had any calls since our first live show, but that number is 561-899-4641. So give that a call and then leave us a voicemail, and I'll play it back, and we'll answer your questions on the episode. But all that out of the way, we're going to do a fun topic tonight, but first, as always, we have to go into some news discussion. The first thing that we have on this list is that Disney's Hollywood Studios just celebrated its 30th anniversary, and it was interesting, to say the very least. To celebrate the 30th anniversary, Hollywood Studios had a kind of parade. They also unveiled a new logo, and there were some opening day cast members that were honored in the ceremony. Biggest point of all this, I guess we'll start with the smaller things and work our way up, but they did a parade stage show kind of service for Hollywood Studios. The parade featured some of the newer things coming in. It didn't really feature anything that's kind of current. A lot of stuff for Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge. They had the cast members walk out in their actual uniforms. Some stormtroopers came out, and the hosts kind of discussed some of the stuff that's coming that we knew about from Hollywood Studios. Like I said, a lot of the opening day cast members were there as well, and they had a moment to honor those people. But the biggest thing is that Disney's Hollywood Studios unveiled its new logo, and it's something.
It's ugly is what it is.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
I've seen so many funny tweets about it, but kind of sad because it's just that bad.
Someone needs to put all of the park logos together next to each other just to showcase how truly awful it is. Next to all of the awesome logos of the other parks. It just drives me insane that someone thought that was a good option.
Here's my thing, and I'm sorry if this turns into a rant. I love Hollywood Studios. Even in the state that it's in, it's really sad to me to see it that way, but I love the atmosphere of the Studios park and everything that just kind of encompasses what's still left of its original vision. But this logo to me totally signifies that there is no vision for this park right now. It's a simple font with the O's that have the characters of the biggest IPs that are going in there right now. You know, the first O has BB-8, the second one has Mickey, and then the third one has Woody in it. And out of all of the things that are going on right now, to me, Studios has no real identity anymore. It's slowly taking away that, studio park that they wanted it to be, and I feel like in the next couple of years we're going to see some major changes to it, and hopefully they can find a way to cohesively put it all together besides you're immersing yourself in the Disney properties. But this is sad, and this is kind of like a big, nail in the coffin to me. I almost wish that they would have just changed the name altogether and come out with something else for this park.
Yeah.
100% agree.
Like, kind of what I said in the group chat, I feel like if you don't need a park anymore for all of your IPs to go when you put your IPs everywhere, and that's what they do now. So I don't really know I don't even know what kind of vision I feel like it should be. I can't even, like, I don't know what they should do with it. I can't think of anything, but then again, I don't get paid to do that. So it's not my problem.
Right.
But they should definitely work on it.
Yeah. And I mean, like, the thing that really stinks about it to me is, like, the cool thing about this park was this was the not Disney park. This was the park where they had all of the properties, aside from like a few that were actually owned by Disney until Disney started buying a lot of those properties. And we kind of talked about this with the like weird Hollywood Studios episode we did a couple weeks ago. And like, yeah, I get it. You're going to Disney, you're going to see Disney things, and that's cool. But like, it's such a weird shift for me to think that this park just isn't going to have any of that stuff anymore. We had that one strip that's got Rock and Roller Coaster and Tower of Terror on it, and with the way that this logo looks, I don't know.
Don't say it.
I don't know, man. I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know what's going to happen, and that scares me because that's like the last little remnants of this park.
Mission Breakout, anyone?
No, I will cry. Like,
no, legit, I would too. Like, I rode Mission Breakout when I went to California Adventure, and I loved it, but I would be so sad to see Tower of Terror go.
Like, I don't know what I will do. It'll be worse than Wishes if it goes.
So I was thinking about this a lot, and I don't know if it's just like a lot of nostalgia. I don't know if a lot of my reason for really not liking the current state of Hollywood Studios is because I used to really love this park. But like, to me, this park was never a half-day park in the sense that a lot of people think it is. Like, it didn't have a lot of rides. It didn't have a lot of, reason to stay beyond the core elements. But if you really hung out and, you watched the streets for the citizens of Hollywood, or you kind of just sat and soaked up the atmosphere of being on a movie lot, like, that stuff was cool to me. And the thing that really sucks is that studios had to close a lot of their big attractions just to make way for the expansions and all of that. And I get that, but they really narrowed it down to such a small percentage of attractions now that there's really no reason to even be there unless you have a fast pass.
It's interesting that you brought that up, because I was actually going to ask you if you thought that your feelings towards Hollywood Studios had anything to do with nostalgia, because I wonder if people who are going to the park for the first time feel about it the way that we do, knowing how it used to be.
I would almost say that it still probably has that half-day park mentality for a lot of people now, because there's really nothing there. I mean, I guess it is a full-day park if you're waiting in line for things, but like, that wasn't the plus-up it needed.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
I have a lot of feelings about studios.
I totally agree with you. Like, I've been going to Disney World at least once a year since like 2010 or so, and every trip I made a point to spend an entire day at each park, and I had no problem with that at all. And then everything at Hollywood Studios just kind of started falling apart, and there was like a period of time where I still went to Disney World at least once a year. I just didn't go to Hollywood Studios for like almost 2 years because I just didn't see the point. It's like,
this last trip, we went to studios twice, and we spent no more than an hour there. Actually, the second time we were there, we spent 2, but that was because we were trying to find a place to eat. And again, there's none of that in studios.
Yeah, their food's not good.
Their food's never been great, but
yeah, and it just, only thing that really makes me sad is, I mean, not the only thing, but the main thing that makes me sad is the fact that Fantasmic is at Hollywood Studios, because it is my favorite stage show. Like, the trip that I'm going on in like 3 weeks, like, me and my friend that are going were talking about it, and I was like, do you want to go to Hollywood Studios? And he's like, literally only if we're going to see Fantasmic and then leave. And I was like, same. Like,
You're
it's
not
really
going to ride
sad.
Tower of Terror?
I mean, we might.
Well, that's the other thing too. Like, the weird thing about that was we went and we were planning on doing Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster, and I don't know if it was because we had high crowds that weekend, but like everything had an hour plus wait, and that was like an hour is being generous. Like, I think the shortest wait that we had was probably about I think it was 50 minutes was what it was posted. And I can't even remember what that was for now, we waited 45 minutes for Star Tours. And that's saying something. But like, I couldn't pull the trigger on going on Rock and Roller Coaster or Tower of Terror, and I love those rides. But I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Last time I was there, Tower was actually down, and so we like tried to go, but we just left because like it was down and there was nothing else to do, and we had a really short time there. But yeah, I don't know. I think that there's I think that's a problem for all big Disney fans, is the nostalgia aspect, because they have to change things for the general public, but then there's people like us who have these really intense like emotions and memories connected to different things that other people might hate. I mean, one of my favorite things about Hollywood Studios was the hat, and I know that was pretty much universally hated.
I loved it
but
too.
I loved it, and like I miss it so much. Like whenever I walk in now, it just doesn't feel the same to me. And I mean, yeah, and if they change Tower of Terror, I really don't like. I haven't seen Toy Story Land. I want to go, and I want to see Star Wars, but it's just like all those things that you grew up with. But I think that's like everybody's life in general, is like you miss things that you're nostalgic for because you remember a time when you were a child and life was easy.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I definitely agree with you on everything that you just said, but I think the difference here is that I have a really strong sense of nostalgia for a lot of things, but if it's replaced or like supplemented with something good, it's nostalgia in a way of like, I'm thinking back fondly on it, not I'm mad about it,
See, I have a hard
Which
time
is
with
this
that.
case.
What did I hear the other day that was like a perfect quote? I love my grudges. I tend to them like little pets. Like that's how I feel about my like things that I'm attached to. Like I miss them and I hold a grudge.
Yeah.
I mean, if that hasn't been made clear since Wishes left.
So here's my thing, and I 100% know that my entire reasoning for all of this is fueled by nostalgia, and that's entirely based on the fact that I'm still upset about the Osborne lights. Like that is one of my biggest angry points at Hollywood Studios right now. But the thing of it is, I kind of agree with Beth in the sense that like they replace things and they put new things in the park to like fill that gap of what was there. Like studios closed so much and then just like
Left it.
they left it empty. And even like Toy Story Land, I like Slinky. I thought that was a great ride, but like
The queue was better than the ride.
we fast passed it both times, so
Oh
I
my
don't know what the queue is
gosh.
like.
It's definitely easier to accept whenever there's a worthy replacement.
Yeah.
I wish that I were better at that.
Well, and that's my thing right now is like the one thing that's open right now is Toy Story Land. I get it. Star Wars is coming and like it's going to be awesome, but I'm not going to visit that for 2 years. I have already put that in my mind that I will not see Star Wars Land in person or Galaxy's Edge in person for the first 2 years it's open because I don't want to deal with that. But Toy Story Land to me is so weak. Like there's right now one way in, one way out. It's so congested when you walk in. The rides that are there, like Midway Mania to me was never worth the long wait. I mean, it's a cool attraction. I like
if you
it,
want
but
carpal tunnel,
and like
that
the
ride hurts.
it does.
It does, man. My shoulder is sore every time I get off that.
But yeah, that is my negative gripe right now. Is just like there's nothing in studios, and I mean there wasn't a lot there to begin with. It opened with 2 rides, but there was enough immersion in the actual park with everything that was around it. And even, like I've said this before, I loved just hanging out on Streets of America. The atmosphere loops, just the feeling of being on the set of whatever, like it was so cool.
Mulch, sweat, and shears.
Yes.
Stuff.
Yeah. Like, I definitely feel like they just it needs more, like, and I know, like, I love Beauty and the Beast, and that's a hill I'll die on, but I understand, like, I would understand if they replaced it, and I would be really sad, but I think if, like, I would understand that. And I think it would make the park more accessible and, like, better, probably, sad as it is to say. And, like, just taking out, like, they used to have the a cappella group before that, which I've talked about before, 4 for $1. I loved them. Like, Mulch, Sweat, and Cheers. Like, all that stuff, I feel like there's an essence that's supposed to be there that they're losing just to pump IP after IP after IP.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like, I know that there's a lot of people out there that hate the idea of putting IPs in the parks. And, like, I'm not one of those people. I get it. I get the mentality behind it and wanting original ideas. And Disney's supposed to be creative, like, all that stuff. I get it. But, like, this park has no identity. And that's the biggest problem I have with it now is, like, there's a cohesive theme to every park.
Yeah.
And when you get to the point that this is basically just an extension of Magic Kingdom with the IPs that aren't Disney, like the ones that you think of with Disney, that's not what I want it to be. And I know that doesn't matter, but...
And I'm fine with IP. I just wish there was more of a mix. Like, what was the last attraction that wasn't attached to an IP? Like Soarin'?
Yeah, and then I mean all the ones that they're getting over in the international parks, but
well, those don't count.
Yeah.
They do everything better overseas.
Yeah, they do. I mean, and Soarin' before that, I can't think of what it was. Soarin' and Mission Space, maybe? I mean, Mission Space was like 2003. Soarin' was 07?
Expedition Everest.
No, that's true. That's true. When was that? Around the same time as Soarin', huh?
That had to be around the same time.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
All right, let's get me off of this hill because I'm dying on this whole Hollywood Studios thing. But one cool thing that we are getting is we're getting a new table service to Toy Story Land. Roundup Rodeo Barbecue will be coming to Toy Story Land in Hollywood Studios. No confirmed date on that yet, but it looks like we've gotten a piece of concept art, and that's really it. From the picture, it looks like it's going to be some kind of family-style service restaurant. A lot of people are saying it kind of looks like a rainforest cafe.
Oh, gosh.
I'm curious to see how it says immersive environment full of toys, games, and play sets. I'm really interested to see how that turns out. As somebody with a child, that sounds kind of cool, but it also sounds like it could be a disaster if your kid is tired and they want to play and you're like, no, sit down and eat. But, I mean, hey, anything is better than the commissary.
Oh, yeah, that's true. There's two things that I feel about this. One, I don't know where they're going to put this because, like, the article I linked in here references that in the front of Toy Story Land, there's like the picture of the original concept art that we saw back in 2015. It looks like there's a couple buildings like right when you first walk in, but there's also like a million other things in here that never actually happened in Toy Story Land. And I feel like with Galaxy's Edge coming and where this is and like how awkward it is to navigate, I don't know where this is going to go, but I'm curious about that.
I heard that it's going to go, like, to the right of the Woody statue when you first enter.
That's kind of where it looks like in this concept art, which
I feel like concept art, they draw the big stuff, and then the rest, somebody just, like, throws some stuff down, and they say, ta-da.
Yeah, like, this might fit here. This would look good over here.
Like, here's a
There's
building.
There's also a photo of what looks like Al's Toy Barn in the concept art too, but if we're not getting Pizza Planet, I refuse to believe that we're getting Al's Toy Barn.
Yeah. Hey, well, I could see that more because then they just shove a bunch of souvenirs in it and make some money off of people.
Yeah. Well, apparently the reasoning that I heard for not putting Pizza Planet in there is that it doesn't fit with the theme of being shrunk down to a toy size.
What the heck? Why don't they just give you giant pizzas? Like, I don't understand.
I don't know if I want the giant pizzas they used to serve at Pizza Planet.
Like, they could just give you, like, a giant New York slice as your...
Oh, yeah, that
Pizza.
actually doesn't sound too bad.
Like, I don't... Hire me, man.
Well, and my other thing with this is like, Toy Story Land needed this. Why was this not here in the beginning?
Yeah.
I mean, they have, like, that little kiosk thing, and that's it, right?
Woody's lunchbox, yeah, and there was no
there's
shade over there.
3 menu items on it, like...
Well, they downsized that after it opened, too, because it had a Monte Cristo sandwich on it,
Yeah,
and
they
that
took
went
that
away within,
away.
like, 3 days.
Everybody liked it too much. They're like, oh, no, we can't have this kind of
That's like meeting the
joy.
villains at the new villain thing. Like, we know this is what you want, so it's just too much trouble.
What was that about being positive today?
I know. I'm sorry. I'll be positive when we get to the actual stuff. I'm
it's
positive
okay.
about the next news item, a permit for expansion to the Magic Kingdom parking lot. I mean...
That's what we need. Not new things in the parks. More parking.
Oh, and never mind. I'm not positive because you got to pay for that. No.
All right, so question for you guys on this one specifically, since we're moving on to the next one. To me, I think Disney has this massive problem with like park capacity, and I think we've talked about that a few times. Do you think this is them trying to like figure something out for that? Because
No, because I think that if you have too many people in your dang park, you don't make more spots for them to park in.
Right?
that's right. That's where I'm headed with this, because like we've talked about how like parks are at capacity. They're exceeding like record wait times here. And then Disney's opening all these new hotels and installing new parking.
Yeah.
I think that I think they're probably
don't know
just
how to
preparing
math.
for Star Wars.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, not that I think that's a good idea, but I think that's probably part of the motivation, right?
Are
It's gotta
they
be. I
just
mean-
gonna like talk people into parking over at the TTC and just taking
I
a
mean,
bus to
they
Hollywood
used to have
Studios or something?
they had overflow parking at, I can't remember what park they used to send people to park elsewhere. I think they would send people to park, I think at Magic Kingdom, they would overflow and they would make people go park at Epcot and take the monorail. That happened
that
a
would
few
make
times,
sense.
like at like 4th of July and stuff whenever I was working there. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say it's not needed, but
There are things that we need more, I think.
yeah, like more crap for people to stand in line for once
Yeah.
they finish parking.
I think once Galaxy's Edge opens and once Hollywood Studios figures out what the hell it is, like I think that becomes the time that they need to really start considering either expanding on Hollywood Studios and making it a bigger park, or looking into that fifth gate we know that they're not going to do.
Yeah. Like, as much as I don't know, I'm so torn because I feel like it would help so much if they did a fifth gate. But number one, at this point, I'm not confident that they would do something that I would be proud of and excited to go see. And number two, I feel like there's still so many things that need work in the parks they have now. You know, it's kind of like
Yeah.
a double-edged sword. Like, do you fix what you need to fix and what's needed to be fixed for a long time? You know, or do you create more space even though you can't maintain what you have? It's clear that they can't maintain everything as it should be maintained, you know, or they can, but they don't want to pay for it, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Tough problem. Hopefully they won't have to work out a solution until after Bob Iger's gone.
I was just about to say, watch, the next CEO that comes in, his first big announcement is going to be either a massive expansion or a new park.
Yeah, or else Bob would be like, y'all, I just can't leave y'all. There's so much more work to be done and more bonuses to get cashed in. Like, I gotta stay and
boy.
figure this out.
Yeah.
Please don't give him any ideas.
Oh my God. I'm sure he listens to us religiously.
I'm sure he does.
No, I'm convinced that he's not leaving. Like, I'll believe it when I see it. He's like, what is the quote? Thanos says, "I am inevitable." I feel like that's Bob Iger's, like, mantra.
Oh boy, at this point, yeah. So next up on our news, a little bit of a sad one here. Peter Mayhew, Chewbacca's star, has died at the age of 74.
You know why this really makes me sad?
Why is that?
I mean, okay, I am very sad that he died. I love Star Wars. My husband's a huge Star Wars fan. He's gotten me into it. But most of all, every time a celebrity dies, I'm like, how old are they? Okay, he's only like a year older than Cher. That's very stressful.
And there's the Cher reference this week.
Yep.
I'm just saying, I'm like, crap, what if she dies next year? Oh my God, I'll die.
I mean, she's still looking really young, though.
I was about to say, she looks really good. For
She's
her
in
age.
she's in a little better shape than he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next topic is location of the new smoking areas has appeared on park maps now. It looks like it's going to be right outside of the actual park gates. We kind of talked a little bit about this a couple weeks ago. It's received a lot of mixed noise on this one.
I mean, I feel like, once again, double-edged sword, like lesser of two evils. They have to pick something. It's not ideal, but you also can't like ship the smokers off to somewhere completely separate.
Yeah. I just
Put
feel
them on
like
a boat.
like I feel like the Magic Kingdom one is the best one because it's like the furthest from the gate, and like
Yeah.
most of the bus people look like they wouldn't be super affected by it. But
Hollywood Studios is okay too because it's over on the path to the boat, and
yeah,
that's pretty out of
Animal
the way.
Kingdoms, you literally have to like walk past it.
Yeah, that's kind of funny.
Like what? And then Epcot's is also off to the side, so you can avoid it. But I feel like Animal Kingdom, they didn't think that one through very well.
Yeah, I guess the entrance is just, I mean, not set up very well.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Is Epcot's right in front of that store? Oh no. Okay, it's a little further down. My mind like couldn't quite figure out the distance between like where the store is and where the smoking area was, and I thought it was like right in front of the little store that's off to the right when you leave Epcot.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Well,
Yeah, I'm not mad about any of these. I think they're all in pretty good spots besides, like you said,
I think it's the
Animal
best they could
Kingdoms.
do.
Yeah, it's really all they could do at this point.
It's just interesting that the ecological park got the worst location.
Yeah.
You know what I would bet is a lot of the reason behind that? It looks like it's right next to Rainforest.
Nobody
I bet
goes
that
there
there's-
anyway, so
Well, I mean, yeah, but they probably have some kind of like thing with Rainforest where they have to have it there.
maybe.
Anyway, next one. Final news topic is that flyers distributed to guests as new rules go into effect May 1st at Walt Disney World. These are all the ones that we talked about before with the stroller sizes, stroller wagons, and smoking areas thing. They're being handed out now to the park or in the parks, so guests know the new rules before they go. Kind of to add on to this, I know this article doesn't have it. Disneyland actually put out a check your stroller size here pad.
Like the
I don't know if you guys have
airport.
Oh my
seen that.
gosh.
It's pretty great.
That's smart.
And I think it's the perfect thing that they could have done. I cannot wait for Walt Disney World to put one out at their parks because, like, if you can fit the stroller in that spot, it's good to go. They put it right in front of you.
Well, here's my question. What do they do with people who have, like, do they literally have to, like, turn around and take it back to their car? Or, like, what if they...
Disney jail.
Like, what if... Disney jail. What if they did, like, what if they didn't drive? Like, what if they took an Uber? Or what if they took, like, the Disney transportation? Are they?
I'm guessing for a while they'll have like, they'll let them store them or something, and maybe if somebody throws a big enough fit, like maybe rent one of the Disney strollers to them for free. That would be my guess, like as sort of a transition time period.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean,
Honestly,
I don't know.
I see
If people don't even, like, literally people do zero research. Like, I've told this story before, but I had a guy come up to me and he had confirmation numbers that he had ordered his tickets online and they were for Disneyland. Like, if people can't even figure that out, they're not going to check and see what size stroller they need to bring. So,
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I feel sorry for the cast members that have to deal with that, but I also laugh at those parents who are stupid.
Well, it's the same thing as like the selfie stick monopod thing. Like, what did they do with those when people tried to bring them in the parks? Did
Yeah,
they, like,
but
store
that's
them
also more
and-
convenient to like store, and like you don't need a selfie stick to carry your kid around.
Right.
Well, most people don't, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe if honestly, I would rent a stroller from Disney if they were better, but those strollers are terrible. Like, anyway, that's a whole nother topic.
So I guess that wraps up all of our news this week. I guess let's move on to the topic this week. This week we are going to be doing top 10 attraction park quotes, just to make it even across all fields. I guess do you want to start with like your bottom of the top 10 and then we'll work our way
Yes.
around? Okay. So we also decided that it was fair to include extinct attractions in this, and I have to say that because my first one is an extinct attraction. Kind of an oddball pick here, but I have said it before, I have a fond attraction to Maelstrom, and I loved the part in the ride where you were like turned around and they said back over the falls. It's just such a weird quote for me to love, but I have a really fond attraction to that one.
I thought you were gonna say the spirit of Norway.
I really wanted to just because I love the accent on that, but I couldn't.
That's funny.
Then I would have to do it in the voice, and you're not getting that out of me.
I just want to preface this by saying that I am still stressed out about my order because I feel like it was really difficult to decide where things should go on my
Yeah, it
list.
was.
Oh, absolutely.
But for my number 10, I put Take That, You Nincompoop from Carousel of Progress. When she's playing the laser or the VR game.
That's a really good one. I almost wonder how many of ours are going to overlap with attractions, but not the quotes.
Yeah, I'm sure some will. Mine is also kind of, I feel like quotes are a weird thing because I like this ride. I don't have like a mega love for it or whatever. And I honestly don't know why I even like this quote. I think it's just because it's one of the first quotes I always think of and it gets stuck in my head a lot. But it's from whenever you're like taking off in Big Thunder Mountain or like in line and it's like, this year's the wildest ride in the wilderness. Like, I don't know. It just,
That was almost on
it gets
mine.
stuck in my head all the time.
That's a good one.
Do you want to go backwards? Like, Kirsten, you could do your next one, and then Beth can go. And then
Oh,
I'll
okay,
go.
sure. Number 9 is from the monorail. Clearly, we all know this one. I'm sure this is on all of our lists. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Mine is much further up on the list, but it is indeed on mine as well.
That was not on mine.
What?
As soon as you guys were like, does the monorail count? I was like, yes. And then I was like, oh, I should put that on my list. And then I was like, no, I can't do it. Can't put it on there.
No,
I
I
love
love
it.
that. Yeah, I literally have like the shirt. I don't know if they still sell it, but it's got all the characters riding the monorail and it says it in Spanish. I love
Yeah,
it.
I want
cute.
I've seen floor, like doormats with that on them. I really want one for our house.
Nice.
Anyway.
So my number 9 is also from Carousel of Progress, but it's also in the last scene. That whole last scene is just so bad that I love the quotes from it. I don't know. But it's the part where she says, "Oh no, you're not going to tell us about the old days when you didn't even have a car phone."
That's a good
God,
one.
they really need to update that
Yeah.
one.
So my number 9, and I feel like I'm probably stealing this from Beth's list. I put Phantasmic at the very end when Mickey says some imagination, huh?
That's your number
I forgot
9.
that one. I love that.
That is my number 9.
That is
I love
my
it,
number
but
1. Spoiler
Was it really?
alert. That is my
Wow.
favorite.
my top 4, like, I could not lower them any more than they were because they needed to be in the top 4. So everything from 5 down is interchangeable.
Wow.
But the top 4, I definitely cannot take them off my list.
Well, that one, like I said, spoiler alert, it's my number 1. That part
Oh, I'm sure that
gives me like chills. I love it.
I'm sure that my number 1 is on someone else's list.
Can we
further down.
pause and can I tell like the funniest story ever?
Yeah.
Go
about
ahead.
that? Okay, so you know at the end of Phantasmic, he's up at the top, right, and he's doing the fireworks, like dun, 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 and like shooting him off or whatever, and then it all goes black, and then boom, he's at the bottom in his the Sorcerer's Apprentice outfit, and he's like, some imagination, huh? I think that's when that happens, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, and he's like at the bottom, the end, right? So he's at the top, then he goes straight down. So whenever I worked there, I would like, you know, I was young and I thought it was like super cool, everything. So I told my parents, like, so whenever, you know, we tell people like, you know, whenever they ask us, oh, how many Mickeys are there, whatever, you always say like there's just one, you know, like, because there's only one Mickey Mouse, right? And that's how it goes. And so I took my parents to see Phantasmic, and my mom, God love her, like we get to the end and he's at the top shooting off the fireworks, then it all goes black, and then boom, he's at the bottom. And she's like, how did he get down there so fast? And I was like, Mom, like, what are you talking? There's 2 people. And she's like, well, you said there was only one Mickey.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, oh
that's-
God.
That's funny.
That's great.
I'm going to have to make her listen to this week just so she can hear that story by herself.
It's a really good one.
Like, so dumb.
Oh.
Anyway, continue.
So my number 8 is this is a really dumb one, but
Lots of mine are dumb, so.
Yeah.
no, I mean I've said that I love this line before too. Mine is the part in the tiki room. The boys in the back are called macaws because of their claws.
Yes.
No, because they're macaws.
I love that one.
It's like the dumbest pun ever, but I love it, and that's my number 8.
Nice. My number 8 is from a beloved extinct attraction. That just goes to show you anything can happen in the movies.
I thought about
That
that.
was like one of the ones that got bumped off of my list,
Oh
and
my
I really wanted to put it
gosh.
on there.
Okay, my number 8 is dumb. I feel like we need to just stop saying that because we all have favorite quotes, and it doesn't matter why they have them, and I'm not apologizing anymore.
None
Anyway,
of them
it's
are dumb. They're all
from
great.
Dinosaur, and I just love at the very end when he's like, "They're not gonna make it.
Yes.
They're not gonna make it."
That's my number 7.
It's like
That was
the
my number 5.
climax. Oh, good. I feel so much better. Yeah, I love that.
I quote that outside of the park.
Same.
Yes, it's one of those that's just like you say that sometimes. Am I supposed to do my number 7 now?
Yeah.
Okay, my number 7 is also from Dinosaur, and this is one that I definitely say all the time in my regular life. It's whenever the guy comes on the screen and he's like, "Hello there," with the dinosaur like puppet. I say that all the time. I don't know. It sticks with me. Beth?
Well, my number 7 was, they're not going to make it. They're not going to make it. So,
So my number 7 is a quote from Muppet Vision 3D, and it's a salute to all nations, but mostly America.
Yes.
That is a great one.
I totally
keeping
forgot
with-
about that.
Keeping with the theme of Muppet Vision, I also have as my number 6, which this ride is so quotable. It's also from Muppet Vision. It's the part where Kermit says, "Sam, are you ready?" And Sam pops out and he says, "Yes, it's a glorious 3-hour finale." And Kermit says, "You have a minute and a half." Every time that gets me.
that almost got on my list.
Yeah, I like the salute to all nations, but mostly America. I wish I could say that more, but I feel like people get offended if they don't get it, you know, and you have to explain
Yeah.
like, oh, it's from like a ride and it's just a joke. I don't know.
Yeah. And explaining it makes it less funny.
Not funny.
Yeah.
Is it my turn?
Yes.
Okay, my number 6 is really cheesy. Like a grand and miraculous spaceship, our planet has sailed through the universe of time, and for a brief moment we have been among its passengers.
That was my number 4.
Nice!
I love that. That is like...
Wow, none of mine are like sappy at all.
My numbers 1 through 4, every single one of them like deserves their place on the list simply because every time I hear that line, like I either know that like the attraction is, starting, or I like this is the point where it really sets in for me. And I feel like these are the ones that, as sappy as it sounds, like I hear them and they kind of like give me chills.
The warm and fuzzies.
Yeah.
Yeah. My number 6 does not give me warm and fuzzies, but it does make me laugh every time I think about it. It's over there is Schweitzer Falls, named after the famous explorer, Dr. Albert Falls.
That's my number 5. I love how many of these are overlapping.
Yeah.
I really, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to not say what I was going to say because it didn't make my list and it's not fair to say anything.
Oh, am I supposed to do number 5 now?
Yeah.
Okay, paging Mr. Morrow, Mr. Tom Morrow.
I love that.
That almost made my list too.
I don't know. You can't, it's just a good pun.
Well, my number 5 was Schweitzer Falls. So, Mario.
My number 5 was the dinosaur quote, and my number 4 was the Spaceship Earth quote.
Oh my gosh.
Back to
Okay,
you.
so back to me. Number 4. I might get some hate for this one because it's not like I don't know. I don't care. Whatever. As the Na'vi say during this important rite of passage, Sivako, rise to the challenge. And I love
That was a good one.
I love that because me and my friends have gotten to the point where we are so obsessed with Flight of Passage during the part on the ride, whenever when they yell Sivako, we are yelling it with them, and that just brings back good memories. So that was on my list.
My number 4 is not from an extinct attraction, but they did change. They did some Photoshop on this. It's how about some backstage passes?
Oh my gosh.
But that's just my love for Steven Tyler. Whenever I went to see him in concert, I definitely took a picture with my hand doing the thing on my forehead and put it on Instagram and captioned it, how about some backstage passes at Steven Tyler.
That's awesome.
Oh, number 3. Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't decide. I love in Haunted Mansion the story of Leota, how Leota Toombs, the Imagineer, they actually used her voice for some different stuff. And so I love at the very end, the mini Leota, when she's like, we've been dying to have you. And hurry back.
Yeah.
I say those all the time.
It's iconic. My number 3 was the monorail Spanish.
My number 3, and I'm sorry, Kirsten. I'm so sorry because I feel like this is on your list too. Is from Wishes. Well, it's the Blue Fairy.
Oh my gosh. I do love that one. It's not on my list, but I do love it. I was vacillating.
As soon as you guys said extinct attractions were allowed, I immediately knew this had to be on my list. I didn't know where, but then I started ranking them, and it was the order of when I start to get excited for things. This was either 3 or 2, so these two are kind of interchangeable too. But my number 2 is from Soarin'. As much as I don't like the new version of this ride, Soarin' to Tower, we're clear for takeoff.
That one was another I considered for my list.
Both of those are I'm pumped. This is the moment. And I kind of that's a weird one to think I get the warm and fuzzies for, but I definitely do for that one, at least with the old one.
Yeah.
I was about to say, is it weird that I get more stoked for the pre-show of Soarin' than the actual attraction? My number 2 is the happy haunts have received your sympathetic vibrations and are beginning to materialize.
Yes, that ride is just so quotable. You could just have the whole transcript from Haunted Mansion, and I would love all of it. Okay, my number 2 and my number 1 are super long, and I did not have to look this up because I'm just that good. Are you ready? Hollywood, 1939. Amid the glitz and the glitter of a bustling young movie town at the height of its golden age, the Hollywood Tower Hotel was a star in its own right, a beacon for the show business elite. Now, something is about to happen that will change all that. All this stuff happens. The time is now, on an evening very much like the one we have just witnessed. Tonight's story, The Twilight Zone, is somewhat unique and calls for a different kind of introduction. This, as you may recognize, is a maintenance service elevator, still in operation, waiting for you. We invite you, if you dare, to step aboard this ride, because in tonight's episode, you are the star. And this elevator travels directly to, dun dun dun, the Twilight Zone.
I am so not surprised that you knew that.
You said you did not have to look that up.
I wrote it down to make sure I had it, but yes.
That's extremely impressive.
Will literally hates writing it with me because I will say the entire thing and I don't care if people think I'm annoying. I mean, I say it very, very quietly.
Do you punch the people that say the gift shop at the end?
What?
That goes straight to the gift
No,
shop?
I've never heard anybody say that, and I would punch
I've
them.
never heard anyone say that.
Are you kidding me? I just get stuck with the worst people there because it's like every time I write it, someone
I've
says
never heard that.
Yeah, they're
What?
like straight to the gift shop, and I'm like, shut up! You're
What
ruining
jerks?
the ambiance.
No, I've never heard that, but I would punch somebody if they said it.
Man, y'all are lucky.
Okay. Now, number one, even better, if anything can be better. You see, it's just like I told you. Wishes can come true if you believe in them with all your heart. And the best part is, you'll never run out of wishes. They're shining deep down inside of you. Because that, my friends, is where the magic lives. It makes me want to cry.
That's a good one.
Rest in peace.
I was like looking up different quotes from wishes, trying to figure out like, okay, what am I going to use? And I was like, I haven't listened to it in so long. And so I was like turning on very quietly. And I was like, I can't listen to this. It's going to make me cry. Too painful.
Oh. Number one, Beth?
My number one was Some Imagination, huh? So,
Sorry. Mine is, you're going to think it's weird that this is my number one, but my number one comes from the Carousel of Progress, and it's the opening line, "Welcome to Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress, you're in for a real treat." And I don't know why, but just the
That's
way that,
good.
like, the way that line is said and, like, everything about that is just like, yeah, this is it. I'm going to ride the Carousel of Progress.
nice.
This is making me so nostalgic. I'm very sad now. I haven't been to Disney World in so long.
Guess it's time to go back.
I know, but Will gets to pick our next vacation since I used our whole vacation budget on one ticket to meet Cher. And so I'm like, well, basically he's either going to choose, are we going to go skiing or are we going to go to Disney World? And I think it's going to be a tough choice, and I don't know what he's going to pick.
All right, well, if you're listening to this, the answer is Disney World.
I know, but we love to ski so much. And Eli's like old enough, he'll be old enough to learn next winter, so. But he loves Mickey Mouse Clubhouse now, and he knows all the characters. And so I know that he would like die if we went right now. He would totally be into it.
So this is the year of like Disney Junior live on stage for you.
Yes, he would be like, oh my God, that's Mickey. This is awesome. Anyway.
Well, does anybody have any like runner-up quotes or anything that you wanted to put on here but didn't?
I don't know. There were so many. Like, I would love to hear what Brian's were.
I know, right?
Oh yeah.
He'll
Will
have
was
to
like-
do like a little segment on the next episode.
Yeah. Will told me that I should look up what the last line of Country Bears is and put that as my favorite quote because it's like the end.
It's funny that you mentioned Country Bears, though, because one of the song's quotes, I guess, almost got on my list, but I was like, there's just too many good quotes. But it was the only guys that turned me on, turned me down, or
Yes.
whatever.
That is funny.
I also really like at the pre-show of Muppet Vision, where it's Rizzo, and he's like, "Welcome to my park."
Oh, that was almost on my
Yes.
list too. And Sam's like, "You're a rat, not a mouse." And he's like, "They're tourists. What do they know?"
That one is really funny. I should have looked up more quotes from that because it's funny.
And the part
Muppet
where
Vision is so good.
the part where they're like, "What are you guys doing here?" And what are their names? Waldorf
and
Statler and
Statler.
Waldorf.
and he's like, "We entered a contest," and the other one's like, "Yeah, we lost."
Yeah, that's so funny.
Oh,
Man, Muppet Vision.
What
is
is
just so
what is
good.
the sad little what does the guy say to Miss Piggy?
oh my gosh. There's
Oh, and I would have to say like Meep from Beaker because every time Will is like being annoying or just like talking about something I don't want to hear, I'm like me, and I like he really hates it, but I'm like shut up.
Oh my gosh.
you know what another good one from that is? The one where Kermit's like, and we're not going to do any cheap 3D tricks. And Fozzie's like, did someone say cheap 3D tricks?
Yes.
That's such a good attraction. Muppet Vision for number one quotable attraction.
Pretty dang quotable.
Oh yeah, it's he's like, guess I won't be needing this, and she takes it and she's like, what's that? And he's like, it was for the big water skiing finale.
Oh. So, do you guys have anything you want to talk about before we wrap this week up?
No, people tell us your favorite quotes.
Yeah.
Post your favorite quotes on our Facebook page or Twitter. All of those will be linked in the show notes, and I'll give you them at the end of the show. I'm super excited to hear if our listeners have any favorite quotes that we missed. I feel like there's just so many good ones in the attractions that it's hard to hit all of them.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Yeah.
Then that's going to do it for us this week. Thanks for joining us again on another episode of the Station 71 podcast. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts from. If you want to be a part of the show, reach out to us on our website at www.station71podcast.com, where you can find links to all of our social media, our email address, and our brand new Google Voice line where you can leave us a voice message. Have anything you want to hear us talk about? We'd be happy to discuss that on the next episode. We hope you enjoyed your ride, and we'll see you real soon.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.